Hey, what are you guys talking about?
Hey, we're talking about today for our live. We're talking about what we're going to do in our live today. But
Yeah.
we've noticed everyone's just so wound up, hypersensitive, and just so easily irritated today. And one of the funny things that we've been discussing is that there's actually a reflex called the Moro reflex that pertains to a lot of those signs and symptoms. So you guys who've got babies out there might know the Moro reflex. You've probably seen it and not really ever realised what it actually is. So you got a baby, Dr. James?
I do. I've got a 22, 23-month-old and another one that's nearly here. That'll be fun.
Have you seen it on your?
I have actually. Yeah. Not for a while though. When my daughter Georgia was very little, if you made a loud noise around her, she would classically just throw her arms back right out and pull back in, and if the starter was big enough, she would start crying.
Yeah, that's the classic Moro type reflex. So with you guys with babies at home, prior to about 3 or 4 months, this reflex actually should be there. And there's a whole reason behind why the Moro reflex should be there. It's actually healthy to have it for a period of time, but if we have it for too long, it can start to create some of those issues that we've already just spoken about now. So normal for a baby, a loud sound. What else can?
So what we know with the Moro reflex, any external stimuli, so anything like light, bright lights, loud noises, any different emotional stress, or anything that can wind us up can sometimes set us off. And so it's kind of like if we have a threshold, but in people that have this stimuli threshold with a Moro reflex, their threshold is much lower. So it doesn't take as much stimuli to then overload their system and to really cause them to be wound up and very hypersensitive to a lot of things.
That's true. So after your 3-4 months, the baby should stop loud sounds or noises or big lights, or like for example a loud cough. I'll stop doing this motion, and it can be a little harder to tell if someone's got a Moro reflex at that point. But a couple of things that I've noticed in, for example, adults that have a Moro reflex, they hate going out in the light. Like it's a beautiful sunny day out there now, they'd always have to put glasses on. There's a neurological reason behind that. You get more light and sound sensitivity, so light sensitivity, sound sensitivity as well. But on kiddies, there's been some research. I know we've just been discussing it actually as you came out here, Elise, that we were discussing some of the research behind this. So
so basically we know it's normal for a kid to have, and like we've been saying, that 2 to 4 months it should be starting to integrate. But if it persists past 6 months, then we start getting a little more concerned about it, because that's where you can start seeing issues associated with ADHD. So what they found in a whole heap of research was, in one particular study, they went to a school and they looked at all these kids that had ADHD and all the kids that didn't, and then they assessed how many of these kids actually still had primitive reflexes like Moro reflex, among many others. They found there was a much higher rate of these reflexes with kids that did have ADHD as well.
Yeah, there you go. Very, very interesting. So some of the other signs and symptoms that we see with the classic Moro reflex type behaviour would be over emotionality.
Really hard to regulate the emotions. Can get really troubling in terms of how they regulate their temperament as well. So kids that can be chilled out and then just all of a sudden lots of temper. So really hard to regulate the emotions.
The anxiety is a big one too, especially anticipation anxiety. So something new that they haven't experienced before, and they actually know that it's going to be okay, but just the thought of actually having to dive in the deep end and actually get into it is actually really hard for them to overcome sometimes.
Yeah, so that's it. So feeling overstimulated, wound up, brain just feeling really wound up, not able to regulate emotions probably are some of the signs and symptoms that you can have when a Moro reflex is present. All these symptoms aren't always created by a Moro reflex, but they certainly can be. So if you notice any of these in yourself or your children, make sure you come and get checked out. We can let you know if you've got the signs and symptoms or a retained Moro reflex. Excellent, guys.
Right, thanks, Elise. Thanks, guys. Have a lovely week.